that I have a bone to pick with the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. It's hard to do these things because both leagues, both conferences are so amazing in so many ways, right? Like there are very few missteps when taking things into account for the SEC and the Big Ten. I mean, especially when it comes to their college football product. I mean, the ability to promote, the ability to create big audiences, the interest level, the quality of the atmosphere when you're in the stadiums. I've been to Penn State this year. I've been throughout the Southeast. I've been all over the place in college football. And the SEC and the Big Ten do it as well as anybody. We know that, okay? We generate a tremendous amount of interest in our show just because of the Big Ten and the SEC. So let me explain what frustrates me here. Yesterday, big day in college football, right? Big day. Why? Because it's week 9 of the college football season. We have some big matchups coming up this weekend. We are deep in the weeds of watching and evaluating and assessing what these teams might be. We're on the cusp of getting college football playoff rankings. We're just a few days away from getting the initial rankings release coming up next Tuesday. So you know what we're not talking about? 2023. Why would we be? We're talking about 2022. We're deep in the weeds, man. Like we got great games coming up. We're trying to figure out Heisman Trophy races. We're trying to figure out who's going to be the team to beat in the Pac-12. Like, is the Big 12 going to cannibalize itself? Like, shoot, man, TCU goes on the road to Morgantown this week and has to kick off at 11 a.m. Central Time. And yet, the Big Ten, yesterday, decided to release the 2023 college football schedule. Why? Without much fanfare whatsoever. I mean, we are completely wasting an opportunity to create a big event in the offseason. And to make things even more ridiculous, the SEC on September 20th, they had their schedule release. September 20th and October 26th for the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. Like, I get schedule release, man. You know what schedule release would do if you put it, say, mid-January or potentially, say, mid-February? You know what kind of interest that would generate? It would be significant. Look, Fox owns vast majority of the Big Ten rights. What if on FS1 on February 10th, or put it on a Tuesday in February, what if they did this gigantic rankings release, matchup release, like early breakdown of the Big Ten? And then to tie it all up, you do a massive schedule release where it's, hey, we have this, here's the big matchups, here's the dates. Oh, look at week 7. Week 7's amazing. That in February, guess what, is going to captivate an audience. And you know what it's also going to do? It's going to shrink the off season. And I'm not picking on the Big Ten because the SEC is ultimately culpable as well. If you want to put on FS1, put it on Big Ten Network. You want to drive an audience to the Big Ten Network in the middle of February? That's the way to do it. How about the SEC? Instead of doing a rankings release show on September 20th, why don't we do that rankings release show in the middle of February, in the middle of January? And I know what people are going to say. I get it. Well, hey, it's just so people can plan a year out for games they want to travel to. It's so people can plan a year out for weddings. Well, if you're getting married in the fall, that's on you anyways. And you could probably kind of assume based on the team that you follow and what's happened in years past. Like, I know pretty much every week or every year, guess what? Bama plays Tennessee on the third Saturday in October. Guess what? You probably don't want to get married the Saturday after Thanksgiving because you're probably going to have a rivalry game. And based on what's happened in previous years, like, okay, yeah, your team most of the time has a bye week on, boom, week 6, 7, 10, 8. But y'all, we are missing an opportunity. You know what the NFL does better than anybody? They never get out of the news cycle, ever. They play their season. They have the Super Bowl. They're in early February. And then what does that spin into? The Combine. What does the Combine spin into? Pro days. What does the pro day spin into? Free agency and the NFL draft. What does the NFL draft spin into? OTAs. What does the OTA spin into? A little bit of summer preview where you have about 5 weeks where people at NFL Network take a vacation for once. And then boom, training camps open middle of July. They never leave the news cycle. But here at college football, it's like, yeah, let's move signing day up to December, and then, signing day in February, we'll just get rid of that. Doesn't matter anymore. So when we finish our national championship there early January, well, hey, thanks for being with us the last 5 months, y'all. We really appreciate you. We love you. Hey, we'll see you in spring games at the end of April. How does that make sense? Like, we need to make this sport year-round. We're here at Always College Football. We're going to be doing this show year-round, so there'll be plenty to talk about here on the show. But my goodness, man, give us a schedule release when nobody's talking about college football. Why? So people will talk about college football. It's not a seasonal sport. It's a year-round sport. And if we would adjust our calendar just a little bit, guess what? We could do a better job of captivating the audience when other times the audience might not necessarily be paying attention. All right, that's my soapbox. All right, please, SEC, please, Big Ten, think about maybe like a big, gigantic schedule release show in the middle of the offseason. You know how many people would tune in for that? People that are starved for football? A lot. A whole lot. Don't put it in September. Don't put it in October. Put it in February. And let's build up. Hey, how about this? Let's do week 1 matchups get released February, the first Tuesday in February. Week 2 matchups get released the second Tuesday in February. Week 3 matchups get released the third Tuesday in February. And all the way up until early May, we do week 1 through week 13. And you go through and you break down the matchups. And we have this great standalone hour-long show each and every week to break down a week of the college football season. It's a novel idea, and I'd be glad to produce it because I think it'd be awesome. So at least you know what you're going to get here on Always College Football come February. We're going to be breaking down the games before the spring games, before the summer, and of course, before fall camp.